Today we're going to talk about the January 6th Commission and why Republicans are blocking it even after their demands were met. And I interview Congressman Tim Ryan about this very commission, his viral video, and his U.S. Senate run for the open seat in Ohio. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen, and you're listening to No Lie. So we've reached a point where even just investigating, even just looking into an event connected with Republicans is now facing opposition by Republicans. Legislation creating a January 6th commission did pass the House, but with only 35 Republicans voting for it and 175 voting against. And those 35 who voted for it did so in opposition to House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who came out against the commission. And bear in mind, this legislation was crafted with Republicans. The Democrats went into negotiations in such a good faith manner that they made almost crippling concessions, like splitting commission members evenly between Democrats and Republicans, and making it so that both sides need to agree when issuing subpoenas. And beyond that, as if that wasn't enough, just remember that they did this with the side that was responsible for the event that's being investigated. Just the fact that Republicans were included in these negotiations, much less that their demands were met, when it was the Republican Party itself that instigated the events of January 6th, is almost beyond comprehension. But then the fact that they still balked is all the proof you need that they never had any intention of moving forward with it. Just like the ACA, just like the Recovery Act, just like the American Rescue Plan, they will water it down and then withhold support anyway. Same strategy, different bill. And just so we're clear, a commission is gonna happen either way. If there aren't 10 Republicans in the Senate who vote in favor of an independent commission, then there's still gonna be a select committee in the House, which is what Republicans put together to investigate the attacks in Benghazi. The difference being, well, there's a couple. First and foremost, that commission for Benghazi wasn't investigating an attempt to kill those very members of Congress doing the investigation. Probably important not to forget here that Republicans would be blocking an effort to bring accountability to the people responsible for trying to kill their own colleagues, their own vice president. But second, the Benghazi investigation was nakedly partisan. And that's not just me claiming that it's partisan. Here's Kevin McCarthy, while he was making his case to be elected Speaker of the House a few years ago during an interview with Hannity on Fox News, basically admitting that the point was to crater Hillary Clinton's poll numbers.
Everybody thought Hillary Clinton was unbeatable, right? But we put together a Benghazi special committee, a select committee. What are her numbers today? Her numbers are dropping. Why? Because she's untrustable. But no one would have known any of that had happened had we not fought and made that happen.
And yet now, those same people are telling us that investigation isn't necessary, that it's time to move on, that we shouldn't dwell on the past. Mitch McConnell said that we already have ongoing investigations of the DOJ. The Benghazi Select Committee lasted more than 2.5 years. There were 11 reports, 7 or 8 congressional investigations, 33 hearings. That probe wrapped up 4 years after the actual attack. All courtesy of the party that doesn't think an investigation into an insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, born of the lie cooked up by Donald Trump and spread by his mouthpieces that the election was stolen, is worth looking into. Yeah, why would that possibly warrant an investigation? And by the way, that's not lost on anyone. Here's Tim Ryan pointing out exactly that in a clip that's since gone viral on social media.
I want to thank the gentleman from New York and the other Republicans who are supporting this and thank them for their bipartisanship. To the other 90% of our friends on the other side of the aisle, holy cow. Incoherence. No idea what you're talking about. Benghazi, you guys chased the former Secretary of State all over the country, spent millions of dollars. We have people scaling the Capitol, hitting the Capitol Police with lead pipes across the head, and we can't get bipartisanship. What else has to happen in this country? Cops. This is a slap in the face to every rank and file cop in the United States. If we're going to take on China, if we're going to rebuild the country, if we're going to reverse climate change, we need 2 political parties in this country that are both living in reality, and you ain't one of them. I yield back the balance of my time.
And Tim Ryan joined in this week's interview, which you can find on the interviews playlist, but his point here is a great one. We can't function when half the government isn't willing to live in reality. If we can't even acknowledge that 2 + 2 is 4, how do we solve anything? You think we're going to beat China, which Republicans love to virtue signal about? You think we're going to be able to protect this country from foreign attacks? You think we're going to be able to solve climate change? We can't even get half the government to agree that election results that were certified and then hand recounted in Georgia said what they said. Republicans won't even acknowledge that because they didn't like the results. We have cyber ninjas in Arizona looking for bamboo fibers on ballots. Republicans are operating so far outside the realm of reality that we don't stand a chance at tackling any real problems if they're not even capable of acknowledging what day of the week it is. And by the way, that's by design. The reason for a January 6th commission isn't just to hold those who committed the violence responsible. It's to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And that is why Republicans don't want it. Because that's their whole strategy. The reason that they're pushing the big lie with renewed enthusiasm is because that's their only tactic to win in the future. That's their pretext to pass voter suppression laws, which they'll use to stop Democratic voters from casting ballots. That's how they'll try to turn Trump into a martyr and claim that the election was stolen from him because they want to protect his stock so that he can run again. That's how they'll cry victim and pretend that they were the subjects of some fraud scheme by the evil Democrats to gin up enthusiasm among their base. But investigating January 6th, shining a spotlight on why the lies that caused it were bullshit, well, then all their work is threatened. Republicans need to protect the sanctity of the big lie because while it didn't work this time, they're banking on it working in the future. They don't have an agenda to run on. The big lie is all they have. So I might sound like a broken record here, but this absolutely bears repeating. Knowing that Republicans are banking on this strategy for the next election, knowing that they've gone all in on endorsing the lies and the violence and the voter suppression, the choice here is this. Either you support H.R. 1 to shore up our election and the filibuster reform that comes with it, or you are making the conscious decision to allow Republican strategy to work. That's it. No middle ground, no compromise. Republicans have already broadcast their strategy in broad daylight. The bills are passed. It's done. So if those Democratic holdouts like Manchin and Sinema don't get on board, they will have chosen to help Republicans relegate Democrats into the permanent minority. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone with more patience for the Joe Manchins of the world than me, but at this point, you don't get credit if you're just siding with Republicans on the only issue that actually matters right now anyway. There's still some time to have this figured out, but that time is winding down. And this whole issue of January 6th commission is proof of the danger of thinking that the right wants bipartisanship when what they're really looking for is a clear runway to undermine democracy. To listen to my interview with Congressman Tim Ryan about this very commission and his U.S. Senate run for the open seat in Ohio, check out the interviews playlist on my YouTube channel.